everyone. If you have not heard the news by now, probably because it got buried in the cycle, I can completely understand that. But we got some interesting news regarding Phase 3 Dine-In restaurant guidelines for when a region in the state of New York will be allowed to go into Phase 3. Now, if everything goes well from the metrics, a couple of upstate New York regions shall meet the requirement to let diners back into restaurants. Now, there'll be some limitations, but I think this will work out. And I like to talk about where I personally would like to eat. We're going to do a couple places that I think I would like to go to when we are allowed to dine in, and hopefully this will be in the next month or two. I'm hoping to do this because June is not really a month where I don't want to jump the gun on anything, considering that we're still dealing with this virus, and I'd rather take care of other important things before I even think about dining in. But this is important news. I am excited that these guidelines came out. There are some reasonable ones, some that may disagree with, so let's just get into it. Okay, so this is a PDF file, and I will read it right now. These are the guidelines applying to all restaurants and or food services establishments, including food trucks and other concessions. This is for regions that are in Phase 1 or have yet reached Phase 2. So, they have outdoor spaces. Here we go. This is for regions that have met Phase 3. So again, I'm assuming 2 weeks from today, Long Island should be in this. 2 weeks, well, right, a week from this Tuesday, Hudson Valley should be in this. So, yes. Thus, establishments can open indoor spaces with seating for customers in accordance with the guidelines below. Outdoor space is a defined airspace designed for the consumption of food, beverage, which may have a temporary or fixed covering. So one example is the Okanoki Diner. Today in Islip, they got a permit for temporary dining out in their parking lot area, which I've been to Okanoki. They have a pretty big outdoor area. Okay. They have 2 open sides for airflow. Alright, so all operators of food services sites should stay up to date with the changes to state and federal requirements relating to such establishments and incorporate those changes into their operations. This guidance is not intended to replace any existing applicable local, state, and federal regulations and standards. Alright. So, this is what they have. When Phase 3 goes into effect, they must limit indoor capacity to no more than 50% of maximum occupancy. This will be exclusive to employees. They must limit outdoor capacity right now in Phase 2 to the number of tables that can be safely and appropriately arranged, such as that each table is a minimum of 6 feet away from each other. All indoor and outdoor tables with seating for customers must be separated by a minimum of 6 feet in all directions. Wherever distancing is not feasible between tables, physical barriers must be enacted between such tables. Barriers must be at least 5 feet in height and not block emergency and or fire exits. Regardless of physical distance, employees must wear an acceptable face covering at all times. So, let's say you are in a restaurant, like the type of restaurant, like a diner or, I don't know, an Applebee's. Because I would assume Applebee's, TGI Fridays, Ruby Tuesday, stuff like that, you know, where you have to deal with a waiter or a waitress. They're going to have to wear a face covering start to end of a whole meal. So, that's the most important thing. Now, this is one I like very much. This is the one I was hoping that this would happen. Patrons must wear face coverings at all times, except except while seated. Meaning, you could talk to a waiter or waitress, as long as they are maintaining social distancing, they will be fine. They will be, they will be okay. Now, one thing I recommend restaurants to do when they reopen is make sure the customers have access to the restrooms. Now, you may be wondering, oh, you would always take for granted going to the bathroom in restaurants. Well, not during this case, because you have to wash your hands, right? It was always the old analogy before mealtime. Wash your hands, right? Well, we're dealing with the coronavirus. You don't want to get sick from, you don't want to get other people sick by just touching utensils. I'm sure the bus boy or bus girl in this case will have to touch everything. You don't want them to get sick, do you? No, you have to wash your hands. It should be mandatory. Even when you're at a fast food place, wash your hands. If you're touching the trays. Thankfully, at fast food places, they give you the plastic utensils. But I wonder, as we go along here, are they going to have disposable utensils? That is a good question, because other states have been doing that. Alright, so again, while seated, you won't be allowed to take your face mask off. So, that's the main thing. Because I was getting worried that, okay, how am I supposed to eat while I'm sitting down? I want to at least sit down and eat. Individuals seated at the same table must be members of the same party. Thankfully for me, that won't apply to me, because in the short run, I'm going to be eating by myself outside. So, again, I'm only going to places that have the food fast. Obviously, not a place where I deal with the waiter or waitress. I'm just going to be doing it fast. Okay, so again, you can have a maximum of 10 people per table. Seating in bar areas and communal tables are only permitted in at least 6 feet can be maintained between parties. Now, this is going to be a problem for bars in the summer months, because keeping in mind, when the NBA and NHL come back, especially in New York, when we have the Rangers and the Islanders in the playoffs, you're going to see a lot of bars get crowded in July. So that's going to present a lot of issues for these tavern owners. Just for an example. And when the NBA comes back in August, the Brooklyn Nets are in the playoffs. Alright, so that's going to be an issue right there. You're going to see large crowds gather. So I wonder how they're going to be able to deal with that. Okay, clearly signal 6 feet spacing in any lines for customers waiting to order, pick up food, be seated, or use the restroom. Alright, so again, you will be allowed to use the restroom, because again, you have to wash your hands. You don't wash your hands, you're spreading the virus. Oh, okay, as well as in any pickup or payment location. So I bet they're going to use markers. Because I think the markers will be appropriate, because I'm sure restaurants will be given enough time to say, look, you can put the markers down, you'll be allowed to do this, and you'll be allowed to wait there while we get you a table. Limit in-person gatherings to the greatest extent possible. So again, this does not apply to me, because I don't think I'm going to be going to a restaurant with friends at least till, I'm hoping, maybe late July or early August. At most. If I were to give that example, I would say maybe. But it's not going to be, a lot of people. I'll talk it out with my friends, and we'll see how it goes. But there's a lot of optimism that they want to go back to a restaurant. They're more optimistic about that than going to the movies, which I can understand. I'm more of a restaurant guy than the movie. I like my movies. I just like to go to the restaurants. Danger base meaning home. Okay, establish designated area for vendor pickups and or deliveries, limiting contact to the extent possible. Right, so that's why we had the contactless delivery. Right. I mean, they have stuff for, you know, allow for contactless order, payment, delivery, and pickup. But the issue for me is going to be I have to pay with cash. So that's going to really be tough. I'm sure they'll have to take cash. Right. Recommended. Walking to and from a restroom. Alright, encourage but don't require customers to wear face mask coverings. Right, so of course, workers are going to have to wear the face mask. Ah, okay, so you can wear a face shield. You know, I'd like to get a face shield because I know somebody who wears a face shield in public besides a face mask. Wouldn't mind that. I mean, it could be the end of the world. I mean, I'm not wearing a face mask right now in my own house. I'm in my own house. Okay, I'm just quickly reading through it. Right, of course, following CDC guidelines. I mean, these are very specific. You know, the state of New York is preparing to make sure that when the upstate regions go to phase 3 next week, they will be on guard. So, alright, so with that being all said, now we're going to get to a couple of restaurants where I would personally like to dine in. Now, we're going to focus on the financial district, for an example. Now, why am I focusing in on this place, you may be wondering? Well, there's Wendy's. Now, I don't really want to talk about fast food because we have a lot of fast food in this city. And speak of the devil, here's the Wendy's on Nassau Street. Yep, let's make sure this is Nassau Street. See, told you. Here it is. Wendy's at Nassau Street. Which is actually accessible via the World Trade Center station. All you have to do is just go to the other entrance where Fulton Street is and then exit. You don't even have to swipe your Metro card. It's that good. But no, we're not going to talk about that today. What we're going to talk about is a place in Lower Manhattan. Bump, 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 bump. I can spell it. Ta-da! Ooh. Ta-da! The Grotto Pizza Place. Right by Charging Bull. As you can see here, this is an underground pizza place, but they are very good. I've had them one time, and they are very good. There's another pizza place that is right by 2 Broadway. I'll mention that it's actually right here. Imagine it. Right around here. See? Right around here. That's Whitehall Street. I forget where the pizza place is at the moment, but there's another pizza place in the area that only does takeout. Alright, so now that we're on the topic of pizza, let's go uptown for an example, because there's not that many delis in Manhattan that give a fair price, but there are a lot of fair places in Manhattan that get you pizza. One place in particular that I like very much, they have another location by Penn Station, but I'm not a fan of that location. Instead, we are going to go up to 50th Street. Now let's highlight a couple of businesses in this area. We're going to go to 50th Street, and take a look at one of my personal favorite pizza places. Hopefully it'll come up. The famous Amadeus Pizza, located right between West 50th Street and West 51st Street. They are best known for bacon, pepperoni, Sicilian pizza. They're best known for that. So that's why I love going there. And on average, it's not that bad. You get 2 slices, the garlic nuts, and a drink, all for under $15. So I highly recommend it. Then you have Pick a Bagel. Now, why am I talking about Pick a Bagel? Well, for one, it's in the theater district. A lot of Broadway actors and actresses actually eat right here at Pick a Bagel, which not that many people even bring up. It's also close to the world famous Studio 54 Theater. And it's right by the Ed Sullivan Theater, where, of course, you have The Late Show with Stephen Colbert being filmed. So that's that. If you go east on West 54th Street and go right by Lexington Avenue, not Lexington, 3rd Avenue, excuse me, Essa Bagel. They have a mix of everything. Bagel shop, but they actually have deli products. So you can actually get a pastrami sandwich from them. And if you're that desperate for pastrami, they will even put the pastrami on a bagel. So Essa Bagel would be another place I would like to dine in. Before we move on to Queens, I forgot to tape this part. Maine Noodle House. Why am I recommending this place? 1011 6th Avenue, right by West 37th. Well, this place, believe it or not, has lunch specials. So, think about it. You're in Midtown. It's mostly bars and pubs anyway. What else is there to offer? That's right, Maine Noodle House. So, I recommend this place because you work in this area and you are in Midtown. I just recommend going here, alright? You can't get more authentic Chinese food in Manhattan, other than Chinatown, than here. So, I would like to eat here again. I haven't been here in a while, but I definitely would save up just to get the lunch specials in Midtown. Now, let's just quickly go to Queens. Now, why am I bringing up Queens for an example? Well, thankfully for Queens, we're going to go to the area around Court Square, 23rd Street. Now, if only we can find Jackson Avenue. Why, hello, Jackson Avenue. We mean it last. Search the word bagels in this area, and you will find a place right by the Citibank building. I present to you a good place in Long Island City that has fair pricing for bagels and deli products. Pumpernickel Bagel and Deli. They have dine-in options, but this is something ideal for me. It's quick and very convenient. And plus I have key food right here. So 2 for 1. Normally I like to go to KFC in Queens Center Mall, but I will have to most likely wait until Phase 4. Which is okay, but I'll make the trip worth it. Now, staying in Queens, we're going to go to Auburndale. Now, why am I bringing up Auburndale for an example? And again, this is just only when we get to Phase 3. I'm not saying it's open now, but when we get to phase 3, it'll be sooner or later. We're here at Francis Lewis Boulevard and Northern Boulevard. Many of you know, I've publicly stated that I go to work at Osnum right here. But that's not why we're in this area. North Shore Diner. They have very good hamburgers, very good chicken sandwiches. They do have deli products. And, not to mention, they have very good dessert. So, I have never done a takeout from North Shore from Osnum before. I just sit in with my mom and dad since it's right by my house. But when I do go back to Osnum, I am going to be supporting them. I know I will be going to McDonald's, of course, because, again, this is my childhood McDonald's. I am desperate to get a Big Mac again. I don't want to do it in Manhattan because it's just not worth the trip. You know, that feeling of going back to my childhood McDonald's on Northern Boulevard would be something I'm looking forward to. Alright? So, bringing that up. So, I also want to bring up another place that I would like to dine in. That would be in my neighborhood. And we will go to Fresh Meadows. So let's talk about 2 places where I would like to go in Fresh Meadows. And this would be more realistic if I were able to do it. Go down Utopia Parkway. And let's talk about Fresh Meadows' best. Regina's Pizza. That's right, Regina's. This is, of course, a pizza place where a lot of St. John's University students get food from. And when St. John's reopens in Phase 4, Regina's is going to have a lot to do when they come back. Thankfully, they have been around, so there's that. Let's talk about the world famous Dave's Kitchen, if we can get to it. Oh, just want to quickly mention, Benny's Kosher Pizza. Highly recommend if you want to get something that's out of the ordinary when it comes to different pizza taste. I will mention they have a Israeli type meal called a falafel, so I recommend that. That's not why we're on Union Turnpike. No. Let's talk about Dave's Chinese Kitchen. Now, they do have a little bit of a dine-in option, but this is a very good place to get food. They're best known for pork. So, you're in Fresh Meadows, check them out. But, let's go by Surrey Place. This is what I wanted to talk about. This is the best place you can get bakery products in Fresh Meadows. Bagels and cream. They have a lot of good cupcakes, and they have a lot of good cookies over there. So, they're not that far from St. John's, but it's right on top of Surrey Place. So, if you were to do something outside and I guess enjoy, you could go to Judge Harker Triangle, where you could, in theory, sit outside, which could make sense. So, lastly, I want to go to Bayside, and we'll talk about a couple places that I want to eat around the Springfield Boulevard area. I mean, this is going to be an extensive list, and obviously, I only wanted to bring up 2 diners because they're more feasible, and plus, going to Long Island diners are just hectic. There is one I could go to, but it's pretty expensive. It's in Hicksville, but I won't talk about it. But they're good, if I have the money. Genos Pizza. They've been around Bayside for a lot of years. But, not just that, you have another bagel place in this area. Slim's Bagels and Bialys. They have very good bialys and very good bagels. And lastly, let's go to here. The Bell Diner. I recently had takeout from them a month ago. They have a very good pastrami sandwich. And, for request, which I did this, they have bacon. The only negative thing was, I noticed the french fries were a little bit soggy. Not too much they could afford a toaster oven, which, you ever have that problem, that's the best way to help the french fry issue. I forgot to mention one last place in not Forest Hills, Hugh Gardens. And they have been featured in the Queen's Courier, and I have been there numerous times over the years. Hot, bialy, and bagel. They were ranked in the Queen's Courier as one of the best bagel stores in the borough of Queens, located right on top of 78th Avenue and Queens Boulevard, just a block away from Union Turnpike. They have huge bagels. We're talking big, ginormous bagels. And the bialys are big too, which I've had them before. So, I will recommend that. Also, very quickly, I want to mention, they were supposed to open a Philly pretzel factory across the street on Queens Boulevard, but I don't know how that's going to work out. Okay, let's move on now to Long Island. Now, we're going to specifically focus on Nassau County. Now, I could go to Huntington, but here's the problem. Huntington is a far trip, and plus, to be honest, there's not that much to do up in Huntington. Unless you go downtown, then that's different. Okay, let's focus on Great Neck. Now, we're going to go here to Great Neck and talk about a couple places where, well, actually one place, right? If we can find it. Here we go. Best Bagels Incorporated, which actually happens to be right next door to 16 Handles. Well, this is a good 2-for-1 on yours truly's part. I could make a day of going here, 16 Handles, and then going to Kekkonen Park and taking a nice little walk. So, Best Bagels Inc. has very good prices. They're on Middle Neck Road. Highly recommend them. And if you are that desperate, you can go to 16 Handles. Pizza places, I don't really know a good one in Great Neck. But I do know one in Port Washington. Now you may be wondering, Genos is a very common name, right? Well, last year when I did the Port Washington Summit, Genos had very good Sicilian pizza. So I highly recommend them if you are in Port Washington. Also, I want to mention that 16 Handles is not a far walk from there. So, want to do that, you can make a day out of it. Plus, there is a park in Port Washington I like to go to. So it does fill the void. The only issue is I've never been to this park in Manor Haven. Yeah, I think you need a permit to go there. These parks you can go to, no questions asked. Okay. So, now what we're going to do is focus on this area in Mineola. Now, type in the word deli, and you'll notice something very interesting. Ardito's. Not a far walk from the Mineola train station. Ardito's actually has very good pastrami sandwiches. Not pastrami, I meant chicken parmesan sandwiches, excuse me. Yes, they have chicken parmesan sandwiches. Very good. I've had them numerous times. I've been to parties at the Knights of Columbus before, and they always get catering from there. So I meant to say chicken parm. I'm sorry. I keep saying the word pastrami so many times. It's crazy. Now, I want to mention in Long Island that there is a chain called Bagel Boss. Now, let's get into this Bagel Boss chain for a quick second. They have a couple locations. Do apologize. I thought there was multiple ones. Odd. Here we go. They are all over Long Island. All over Long Island. They even have one in Queens. 69-48 Main Street. I'll look up this address. I might want to visit one day. Yeah, here's the one in Cobb Place. And they even have one in Manhattan, believe it or not. I am actually very surprised. I think I know this address in Flushing. 6948. Yeah, I know exactly where it is. I know exactly where this is. Wow. Wow, folks, I'm pretty shocked. I never knew we had a Bagel Boss here. You know, and I may have to visit them in on Main Street. It's not that far from Aaron's Casino Farms. They're a Jewish kosher supermarket that I like to go to. Alright, so I might visit them one day. But they're all over Long Island, I'll tell you that right now. They have one in Hicksville. Closest one by my workplace is in Lake Success. But I'd rather go to the one in Queens. Just very quickly, I'm going to look the one up on First Avenue, because I never heard of this address before. 263 First Avenue. Let's see what comes up. Oh, I know exactly where this is. It's right by Alphabet City. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I could make a whole day out of this one. There's Lenny's Deli, but I'll look into this place in the future. And look at this. There's another Essa Bagel right here. Isn't that a conflict of interest? You have Bagel Boss there. Then you have that over there. I kind of found that very suspicious, if you ask me. Oh, not a far walk from Union Square, it looks like. Okay. Alright. Now, we're going to go to Limbrook. So it's going to be a lot of places on the South Shore that we're going to talk about today. Do apologize. When you're dealing with technical issues, you deal with technical issues. So, far east I'm going to go is Wantua. That's how far east I'm going to go. Where I'll wrap up this video. That's not it. I do apologize. There's supposed to be another place on around here somewhere. Here we go. Vincent's. Yes, Vinny's Pizza. I like to call them. Right here. Right by Merrick Road. I've had them before. They are very good. Now, I want to mention something else here in Limbrook. Limbrook Deli and Caterers. They have very good pastrami, and the French fries are pretty good too. So now, we're going to go to Merrick. We're going to go to Merrick now. If this will cooperate. There we go. I know exactly how to get to this place. Smith Street Deli. Highly recommend this place. Alright? And it looks like they're doing outdoor dining. I have to give them a call. I won't bug them. Probably because it is technically takeout and you can't eat. So, guess there's no conflict of interest there. So, let's go to Belmore. I know how to get to this place. Go down here. If I can find it. Yeah, here we go. That's not it. No. It was a bagel place, but I know they offered a couple places. Right, here it is. Town Bagel. Right here on Merrick Road. Now, why do I talk about this place? Well, not only do they have bagels, but they do offer deli products, so you can get roast beef and pastrami here. Very good price. And lastly, let's go to Wantua. Now, again, I don't really want to go to a diner, but I like Lighthouse Diner. Been there numerous times. They have good desserts. If we can find it. Supposed to be in this plaza. Yes, here we go. Gateway Bagel and Deli. Very good prices. So, these are just some of the places where I would like to dine in when dine-in restaurants are allowed to go back. I mean, yeah, Wendy's, I'll go to Wendy's, but, these are the places that I really do miss a lot since this quarantine began and since this whole pandemic started. But I think in a couple months, I hope to be back at a lot of these places. So, I'm keeping a lot of faith. I really, really am. Alright? So, I want to mention one last thing. I had to change my fake GPS because I don't want anybody knowing my real location. So, there is a way to do it. So, I think with that, we're going to wrap this video up. Thank you all very much for watching. And until the next one, please take care.